name is Kristen. I like comedies, stupid comedies, like the National Lampoon's Vacations are funny. Chevy Chase, I always get a kick out of. Sci-fi stuff. I don't know, all kinds of stuff. I did when I was a kid. Now it's, on a Tuesday afternoon, perfect. Saturday night, I don't think so. When I was 18 years old, on April 21st, 1993, my dad went to visit my mom after a divorce, and they got in an altercation. She stabbed him 17 times, and he stabbed her once, and she passed away. And he's been in jail for 22 years now. My sister and I both kind of think wrongfully. My mom was a little erratic, maybe diagnosed, maybe not, but kind of known prone to violence, and so we just really believe he was protecting himself, but it was still, he was a colonel in the Army and a dentist, so it was kind of a high-profile thing at the time. And in Texas, they just don't really play around. And right now, he's just had another open-heart surgery. The medical is terrible for prisoners, and so he's lost 4 inches in height due to osteoporosis, and so he's just kind of withering away in there where he could be out getting proper treatment. But yeah, it was kind of a shocking day, for sure. And it's probably had way untold effects on my life that I tried to avoid, but that's when something like that happens, it affects. Not only did I lose my mom, I also lost my dad. So she had been going to therapy, and from what I can understand, she would go until they could almost diagnose her as bipolar, and she would stop going and go to someone else. They went through a really nasty divorce after my dad retired, and I don't think she really could cope with not being a military wife anymore, and my dad trying to be more of an entrepreneur, so she was missing that stability, so they decided to get divorced, but it was down to counting forks and knives kind of divorce. So it was really nasty and bitter. And my dad would carry a stun gun on him because she would beat herself. I'd seen her, slapping and marking herself and, yelling out for him to stop when he wasn't in the room so that she would have a case against him. So it was, kind of a history of that. But for her to, I've sat and talked to my dad and gone through blow by blow the whole incident on what happened, who stabbed who was fighting. And as traumatic as it was easier to understand. But on the other hand, you have to think that's his point of view from that incident. You tell a lie enough times, it becomes truth. So there's no one can tell what really happened in that room. But I do believe that he was never intended that to happen. He was practicing to be like self-aware, like Buddhist meditation and stuff like that. So he's a really peaceful guy. I've never seen any violence from him at all. So, yeah. I probably did not get enough support. After it happened, I enlisted in the Army. I had my daughter. And so I really just tried to focus on them. And I was adopted to begin with. So I kind of felt a little separation from them. But it kind of just drove a wedge where I just didn't want to, I love my dad, but I didn't want it to affect my life or my daughter's life. And so in one way, I guess it was kind of a way to repress it, like just not deal with it, like after the trial and after he went to jail. My sister has been involved since day one. She takes care of all the finances. She's always, like her whole life revolves around this incident. Whereas I kind of went, you know what, that's not going to be me. I didn't choose to be in this family, but I'm here, so now that I'm a grown-up, let's, things happen in life, but we have to move on. And so I just went on. But, also being who I am, I also had other things to deal with as well. So, I was in the Army, and then he's been in jail forever. So it's just, it's hard to go see a parent in jail for sure, and have real conversations when it's really loud. And at some point, I realized recently that he has been in jail longer than I knew him out of jail. So who is this person to me now? Is it just someone I talk to and get cards from? The memories of my childhood, or they strong enough to not have a bond for the rest, like I don't have a relationship like most people do with their parents. So it's hard to relate what it would be like if he wasn't in, you know what I mean? So those are the kinds of things I think I'm more dealing with now is, yes, he's my father, but, who is he to me now? Stuff like that. Not that I could tell. like I said, he was a dentist in the Army. We grew up in Panama, in Alabama. He was a scuba diving instructor. We were always on the beach, always having fun. Anything like that, I think, would have been shielded from me, you know? Turns out he was having an affair with our housemaid in Panama. So there's things that I definitely were not aware of as a child. Now, I don't know if there was or was not. I didn't see anything until my teens. Yeah. Do I feel a sense of betrayal from my parents? I don't think intentionally. I think irresponsible would be a better word for it. The decisions made that night affected, my life, his life, her life, my mom's life that ended that night. So yeah, I mean, they betrayed me by, losing my trust and their sense of making good decisions. So yeah, I don't feel a grudge about it, but at least in that sense. Well, I think she came from a different, Southern Texas Baptist. It wasn't really accepted to talk about these things. You just were played the wife, I think. But I think now, yeah, she certainly could have gotten more help, and certainly would have been able to. It would have been okay for her to have problems. It would have been okay for her to feel these way and not act out in the way she thought she had to. Yesterday, obviously, in South Carolina, 9 people dead because someone wasn't paying attention to a child that clearly needed help and taking medication that is prone to violence. I think this whole country is based on this pursuit of happiness, and who's saying that bipolarism or anything like that, if you're starving, is an issue? If you're living off of cave water, is that really an issue? So are these issues that we create ourselves, or is there a pattern of what we expect our lives to be? And if it's not, then we have to diagnose ourselves with something. How as a society can we begin to heal and change? I think it definitely is going to involve more awareness of actual issues. Like, everyone's got a problem, but is it a problem for everybody? Well, once it becomes a problem for everybody, everybody's aware, but we all have to be more compassionate to each other and take other people's feelings, and not, anybody who's feeling lonely or this because someone else wasn't paying attention. So after my mom passed away, I was in the military, and then my wife took my daughter, went back home to Texas, and left me in the Army, which was really awesome of her to do. And then I think I just kind of spiraled into trying to hide. I became a tattoo artist. I drank a lot. I played in rock and roll bands, toured the country. I just tried to live my life as free as possible and not let that event dictate what I was going to do. And so now that I had no direction and no parents and no one to tell me no, well, yeah, I'm going to go play drums in a rock and roll band and get tattoos. And then that kind of, that's how I came to Washington, was a tattoo artist. And then as becoming, starting to realize myself being transgender and how that was going to affect my life, and really letting go of the past and going, okay, this is who I am, this is who I've always been, and trying to move in that direction was really, I think, a point where I'd reached a point where I had to do stuff for me. I was done hiding behind tattoos, behind music, behind being cool. I just had to be who I was. And so I think everybody's life events will determine who they are, but I think it's how we react to them, And I think since day one, where I said I wasn't going to let it control my life, is where I've taken from it. And I probably wouldn't be the person I am today if it hadn't happened that way. So is that good or bad? I don't know, but I'm here. And I'm smiling, so that's good. Yeah. Get your stuff and leave. You can leave. There's no reason to ever put yourself in a situation like that. And it's funny, when you see the mountain, you can't see the other side, but all you have to do is start walking. And if you're trapped in a relationship or any bad situation, anything's going to be better, right? So why would you stay? Just go. Someone's always going to be there for you. If not, someone will. Yeah, don't worry about what other people think. Just do what you have to do for yourself. I have my sister. And we didn't get along for a while, but we're really close now. And pretty much that's all I have, yeah. My mom's side of the family pretty much disowned me and my sister. My dad's side of the family just didn't want to deal with it, so we were kind of left in the middle. And so we have each other, and yeah. I try to help her as much as possible, but she was my mom's biological child, and so she is definitely affected more. Or as I said, when I'm out. You ever seen that show where they take the CEO and they disguise him in another company? And those stories, I don't know, I always cry at the end of it because their wall has been broken. They're used to running this company, and they don't know the thousands of people that work for them, and they go and they get to know that person that, has 3 kids and no car. And when that wall shatters for them, then they realize they do need to help, and they can relate. Those are heroes to me. Those, people that have broken through the other side and can see how and what they do affect everyone else around them. I don't know, I cry every time. So I think those people inspire me. Is anybody who can see and is able to change their lives or other people's for the better. Yeah. There's so many heroes right now that you don't have to be a soldier in Afghanistan to be a hero. You just have to stop one kid from committing suicide. That's a hero. So, yeah.